Swayam Prabha. Digital India. Educated India.
Now, in this lecture, we will discuss the kinematics of rigid bodies. You know that it has been already stated that the rate of change of linear momentum of a body is equal to the net applied force. This is valid in inertial frame of reference. That means sigma f is equal to g dot. This is vector, this is also vector. Dot represents time derivative. Similarly, the rate of change of angular momentum is equal to net applied moment. When the terms are taken either about a fixed point O or about the mass center, that is sigma m is equal to h dot. This equation is also valid if the angular momentum h and the moment m are taken about fixed point O or mass center or a point which is moving towards or away from the center of mass. Now, when h can be expressed in terms of components measured relative to a moving coordinate system, then h dot can be written as h dot is equal to dh by dt xyz plus omega cos h. Axis system itself is rotating with angular velocity omega, then you have to write like this: h dot is equal to dh by dt, xyz axis itself is rotating, then this is the thing. Now that means I have to write like this: this becomes h dot x I plus h dot y j plus h dot z k plus omega cos h. Now you know the cross product, and suppose omega is having three components: omega xi, then omega along y direction, omega y component, then omega z component. It can be, then you can do the cross product, and finally you will be getting these equations: h dot x minus hy omega z plus hz omega y I plus h dot y minus hz omega x plus hx omega z j plus h dot z minus hx omega y plus hy omega z k. Now here omega x, omega y and omega z are the components of the angular velocity omega of the axis. Now if the axis system is attached to the rigid body itself, in that case omega is equal to omega, small omega. That means the angular velocity of the body itself. In that case, we can write these equations, and you know that this is equal to moment. So sigma mx comes out to be h dot x minus hy omega z plus hz omega y. Similarly, sigma my, this comes out to be h dot y minus hz omega x plus hx omega z sigma mz h dot z minus hx omega y plus hy omega x. Now we have already developed these expressions, that you know that if we write that h is basically Ixx omega x minus Ixy omega y minus Ixz omega z I, these expressions we have developed, plus minus Iyx omega x plus Iyy omega y minus Iyz omega z j plus minus Izx omega x minus Izy omega y plus Izz omega z k. Now if x, y, z axis are principal axis, if x, y, z axis chosen are the principal axis, then Ixy is equal to Ixz is equal to Iyz is equal to 0. Thus h is equal to, we will get simply Ixx omega xi plus Iyy omega y j plus Izz is equal to Izz omega z k. You see that how simplified it becomes then in that case if we take that just like that, because so that is the advantage of finding out the principal axes. Now expression has become very compact here. Now hence then in this case if x, y, z are the principal axis, then hx component is Ixx omega x, hy component is Iyy omega y, and hzz is basically Izz omega z. Now, if we put these in A, then we get sigma mx is equal to Ixx omega dot x minus Iyy minus Izz omega y omega z. Sigma my is equal to Iyy omega dot y minus Izz minus Ixx omega z omega x. Sigma mz is equal to Izz omega dot z minus Ixx minus Iyy omega x omega y. So we get these set of equations somewhat simplified. Had we not used the principal axis, the expressions would have got very complicated, but in this case now we got simplified expressions, that is sigma mx is equal to Ixx omega dot x minus Iyy minus Izz omega y omega z. Sigma my is equal to Iyy omega dot y minus Izz minus Ixx omega z omega x. Sigma mz Izz omega z minus Ixx minus Iyy omega x omega y. Now these equations are known as Euler's equation. They are known as Euler's, pronounced as Oiler, Euler's equations. These are called Euler's equation, and they have been named after a Swiss mathematician. The conditions under which these equations are applicable are these as follows. Number 1, the reference point where the body axes are fixed is a point fixed in space. These are called body axes. Why? Because they are moving with the body only, so they have angular speed as the body itself, speed of that body. So the reference point where the body axes are fixed is a point fixed in space, or is the center of mass itself. That can be, so either you take either you take a point in the body, either that point is the fixed point or that point is the center of mass. However, apart from that, it can also be a point which is accelerating, but the acceleration is either towards the center of mass or away from the center of mass. Two things are there. So this is the thing. So there are three type of things. Number 1, point should be either fixed, then you know these equations, Euler's equations are valid. Number 2, point can be center of mass, whether it is fixed or not fixed, that doesn't matter, then also the equation is valid. The third thing is that the point is may not be fixed also, it may not be center of mass, but it is moving, it is accelerating towards the center of mass or away from the center of mass, then also it. So this is the first condition under which these Euler's equations are applicable. Number 2 condition is that the XYZ reference frame is fixed on the body and is directed along the principal axis at that reference point. Otherwise, we would have got complicated expression. So these XYZ axes are the principal axis. Number third point is that the moments of the forces are taken about the reference point. About the reference point we take the moment, and also the components of the inertia matrix are determined with respect to the body axis at that point. Moment of the forces have to be taken about that reference point, and similarly components of the inertia matrix are also determined by that. So we have got these three sets of Euler's equation. We supplement these three sets of equation by three equations of motion. Three equation of motion for the motion of center of mass, that is Newton's law, that is Fx is equal to m times Ax, Fy is equal to m times Ay, Fz is equal to m times Az. So total 6. So these 6 equations are enough to solve that different type of problems. Now we do, for example, we take various examples. Now we take one example. Suppose body is just rotating about x axis only, then we get sigma mx is equal to Ixx omega dot x, Euler's equation. Body is rotating with a constant angular velocity, then no net moment acts on it. That is the thing, if body is. Now if the body has the component of angular velocity along x and y axis both, then what happens? If the body has the component of angular velocity along x and y, then one equation sigma mx is equal to Ixx w comma x, sigma my is equal to Iyy omega comma y, sigma mz is equal to minus Ixx minus Iyy omega x omega y. So this is like this. So in this case, so we get these type of things. Now body has, now if Ixx is not equal to Iyy, then in that case body experiences net movement in z direction also. So even if suppose omega x is constant, therefore sigma mx is Ix w omega dot x, that means this is 0, sigma my is 0. However, sigma mz will be present. If Ixx is not equal to Iyy, then sigma mz will be 0. If Ixx is equal to Iyy, that means Ixx is equal to Iyy, then sigma mz will be 0 in the case of constant rotation about two axes like x and y, otherwise this will be this one. So it is like this, that this phenomena comes. Now then we discuss torque free motion. In the absence of torque, whatever motion we get, that is called torque free motion. So if we write the Euler's equation, then this is Ixx w dot x minus Iyy minus Izz omega y omega z equal to 0. First equation you will get. Second will be Iyy omega dot y minus Izz minus Ixx omega z omega x is equal to 0. Then Izz omega dot z minus Ixx minus Iyy omega x omega y equal to 0. Now these equations can be solved. Now if in this case if Ixx is equal to Iyy, then you get Ixx omega dot x is equal to Iyy minus Izz omega y omega z, and you get Iyy omega dot y is equal to Izz minus Ixx omega z omega x. Now Izz omega dot z is equal to 0. These are the three equations you get if you know Ixx is equal to Iyy in torque free motion. Then omega z is equal to constant. Third equation gives omega z is equal to constant, and omega dot x is equal to basically minus Izz minus Iyy Ixx omega y omega z is equal to minus c omega y, and similarly omega dot y will be equal to Izz minus Ixx Iyy omega z omega x, and this is equal to c times omega x. Now if we differentiate the above equation, this equation, then you will be getting omega dot y is equal to c times omega dot x, that is equal to minus omega dot x is equal to minus c omega y. Therefore this becomes minus c square omega y, which gives you omega y is equal to a sin ct plus b cos ct, where constants a and b can be found from the initial conditions. Similarly, we can find out the expressions for omega x also. Now if angular velocity is constant, then what happens? There will not be any dot terms. Sigma mx will be minus Iyy minus Izz omega y omega z. Sigma my is equal to minus Izz minus Ixx omega z omega x. Sigma mz is equal to minus Ixx minus Iyy omega x omega y. In case Ixx is equal to Iyy is equal to Izz, in that case of course the torques will be 0. But if suppose Iyy and Izz are different, in that case you see even if the angular velocity is constant, then also there is that torque acting. So therefore this is what the point I want to emphasize. This point, you know, that even if you have a constant angular velocity, it is possible to have moments. That means there can be moments and still there can be constant. That's what we get from the Euler equations. So suppose there is a sphere that can, in which about the, if you take a point at the center, mass center Ixx is equal to Iyy is equal to Izz, and in that case of course that sigma mx will be 0, sigma my will be 0, and sigma mz will be 0. So sphere can keep rotating without any movement, but in general it is not true. Now then suppose now we discuss about suppose steady rotation of an asymmetric body. So from the Euler's equation we see that steady rotation of an asymmetric body is possible if omega x omega y I xx minus I yy is equal to omega z omega x I zz minus I xx is equal to omega y omega z I yy minus I zz is equal to 0. This requires that at least two of the components of angular velocity is 0, that is the angular velocity is along only one of the principal axis. Then it can be without any that this one axial moment. Now if we discuss about the translation of a rigid body, then you get omega is equal to 0, omega dot is equal to 0. In this case Euler's equations are automatically satisfied and the motion can be studied by Newton's law only. So this is the thing. Now if you have got that so we have now understood the Euler's equation, and we will now discuss about the very interesting phenomena that is called gyroscopic motion. We now discuss the gyroscopic motion. Now without giving any formal definition to what is gyroscopic motion, I would draw your attention to the following figure. Now consider the motion of a heavy disk of mass m. Now this disk is spinning with an angular velocity of omega. So the mass of the shaft, for the time being you assume that it is negligible, but you have got a heavy disk mg and it is velocity is omega, and the whole that shaft is processing with an angular velocity omega p. Now then what happens? Now if you just put a pin joint here, that means this ring is by a pin joint, then it is, you may think what, that because this is a heavy disk, naturally it should fall, but you will see that surprising thing that this will not fall actually and the motion will continue. How it happens? This is called basically gyroscopic effect. What is the reason for this? Now so motion of the disk is spinning with an angular velocity of omega, which is high, but at the same time the rod on which it is supported precesses about the vertical axis with an angular velocity omega p. Now the precession velocity, time being you can assume is smaller than spin velocity omega. Now this system is in balance. How this system is in balance? Without, why it is not falling downwards? We have to see this thing. If we make the free body diagram of the system, then we have to show the reaction R of the vertical post, and this reaction is balancing the force due to gravity mg is equal to R. However, there is a torque that is Ty is equal to mgr. Now it acts in the vertical plane xz and its magnitude is mg times r, small r. It can be represented by a vector direction, because like this mgr, so it's a torque, it is trying to, it acts like this clockwise, so therefore it is going away from you, so that means it is along the plus y direction. Now by Euler's law, the rate of change of angular momentum is torque. Assume that the precession velocity is very small in comparison to spin velocity. Then the spin velocity may be written as I0 omega I. I0 omega I is the spin velocity, not the spin velocity, spin momentum along the spin velocity direction, where I0 is the polar moment of inertia of the disk about x-axis and I is a rotating unit vector in the direction of x. Therefore, Ty is equal to d by dt I0 omega I is equal to I0 omega di by dt. That means I0 omega p into j. The direction of Ty is along j, so it is consistent with the applied torque. So that means I0 omega p, that can balance that Ty. We have already discussed that applied torque is T is equal to mg times rj. Thus in this case mg into r is equal to I0 omega into omega p, which gives us omega p is equal to gr divided by I0 omega. So therefore, due to its weight, a spinning that rotor will also start precession. So instead of falling, it does this type of thing. So we observe that precessional angular velocity is inversely proportional to spin angular velocity. It is inversely proportional to that thing. That means if spinning, the rotor is spinning at a very high speed, then it will not precess that fast. So this is that means spin provides some sort of stability. You require more torque to precess it. So we observe that precessional angular velocity is inversely proportional to spin angular velocity. In case the disk was not spinning, it would not have been possible to balance it on A. It would have started falling down in the vertical xz plane. Because if you see that equation, theoretically if omega is equal to 0, so omega p becomes infinite. It cannot be infinite. Actually what happens in that case, it will basically fall, that that this one, it would have started falling down in the vertical xz plane. That is the phenomena will happen. However, it does not happen here due to spin motion of the disk. If it has to fall in the vertical plane during spinning of the disk, there has to be a torque in the horizontal plane represented by a vector along negative z direction. Suppose it is falling, So you know that it will start creating, so there has to be a torque in the horizontal plane for spinning one. Why? This is clear from this figure. Because spinning rotor has got angular momentum, and initially its angular momentum is like this IW, and after it has slightly tilted, means it started falling, the rotor has moved down, therefore finally it goes like this. When the disc has fallen by a small angle, the direction of its angular momentum gets changed, though the magnitude remains same. Change in angular momentum is as shown in the following figure. So this is delta IW. So this is the thing. For very small angle between initial and final vectors, the change will be perpendicular to the initial vector. If you know you have got IW and you know it started falling, and at this point this is also IW, this is the change is almost perpendicular. Thus change in the angular momentum is in the direction of negative z. Therefore a torque in the vertical negative z direction is needed, otherwise this cannot take place. This is not present here, so the disc will not precess in vertical plane. That is the way it has been shown. But here this analysis is actually based on the assumptions, of course, that spinning velocity is much more than the precession velocity. If we do the precise analysis, then we will see the disc will start oscillating in the xz plane, and spin velocity is not a constant velocity, but should be understood as the mean velocity only. So that precession velocity is not a constant velocity, but should be understood at this one. Now, before going into detail about the gyroscopic motion, we will first present simple examples of engineering importance concerning this topic. We have understood that if a body is spinning and a torque is applied normal to the axis of spin, the body starts precessing, and the precession axis is normal to the axis of spin and axis of torque. This torque is often named as that gyro couple. If a body which is spinning is precessed about the perpendicular axis, the gyroscopic couple has to be applied on the body. If the body in turn will apply a reaction on the members which apply gyroscopic couple on the body as per Newton's third law. So these things have to be kept in mind. If the axis of spinning and precession are perpendicular to each other, then gyroscopic couple is T is equal to I omega into omega p, where omega is spin velocity and omega p is precession velocity. This shows that if omega is high, a huge amount of torque is needed to precess it. This fact about the gyroscope is exploited by using it to provide stability of vehicles. Now a bicycle remains stable at high speed because of gyroscopic motion. You cannot balance yourself on a stationary bicycle that everybody you have experienced. But when you start moving, then you don't fall. This is gyroscopic effect has a role to play here. See this person sitting on the bicycle. This is the reaction of the ground, and this is the weight of this one, and it is spinning. So W L is equal to I times W. Now if you want to turn the bicycle towards left, then lean your body towards left. By leaning the bicycle towards left, you shift the center of mass towards left. So therefore you generate a couple mg. This is the thing. So it is couple is generated anti-clockwise direction. That vector, couple vector, is now directed towards you. So therefore you get L is equal to I omega. That is this thing. So therefore angular momentum also changes, and therefore you start precession. That means you shift. This produces a torque pointing from front wheel towards rear wheel. Hence the angular momentum vector rotates about a vertical axis, and the bicycle precesses towards the left. So this is due to gyroscopic, this one. Once we spin a gyroscope, its axle wants to keep rotating in the same direction. If we mount a gyroscope in a set of gimbals like this, just see that, so that it can continue pointing in the same direction, it can be used as a gyro compass. You have this type of this thing, and it is the vertical axis. Suppose it can rotate about the vertical axis. On that you have mounted another gimbal which can rotate about the horizontal axis, and then you have got, in that you have mounted a shaft. This is the axis of spin. It can spin about that, so rotor can spin. Mass center always remains fixed, but these things can rotate about vertical axis, then this can rotate about horizontal axis. However, once you have imparted some motion, and since there is no torque to precess, therefore it will keep rotating in the same direction, therefore it will act as a compass. In this figure, spinning wheel can precess about vertical and horizontal axis. If this is kept on the ship, the axis of spin will maintain a fixed direction irrespective of the orientation of the ship. Thus the axis of spin can provide a good pointer to direction. Another example of the effect of gyroscope couple is shown in the following figure. This is the figure, and this is rotating, that this is the axis. This is a motor, this is rotating about that. Now there is a spin motion of the rotor, but at the same time whole disc is rotating. Motor is mounted on a rotating platform having some angular velocity. Discs are spinning because bearing on which it is supported will experience the additional forces due to gyroscopic effect. This is explained as follows. As a result of precession, the angular spin momentum changes as follows. Initially, the situation is like this. You give a small change, Final velocity is this. So this is the thing. Now, therefore, a torque has to be applied on the shaft because its angular momentum is changing. Initially, the angular momentum is like this. Finally, means after some time it has become like this. So this much is the change. Since there is a change, therefore the torque has to be applied. Who applies this torque? Of course, the bearings. The shaft in turn will put the load on the bearings as follows. So therefore the bearings will apply the torque. So the shaft in turn will put the load. So it is, if we make the free body diagram of the shaft, we see that this is the torque coming on this, because this is like this clockwise, because it is going away from the paper. So this is the shaft in turn will put the load on the bearing as follows, Newton's third law, opposite way. So this is the thing, you are getting this one, and then you are applying this torque, and that is what you are getting. Thus the left bearing will be loaded downward and right bearing upward. Now gyroscope can be used for stabilizing the ship. Roll of a ship can be stabilized by the action of a heavy rapidly spinning disc rotating in a set of bearings. Like this is the thing, this is the ship, and here you have put this in the bottom, that horizontal rotor, which is, you know, that rotating about a vertical axis like this. So this is what is being done. So now it will not, you know, it will, suppose the ship now tilts, so angular momentum will change. For that there has to be presence of a heavy torque. So therefore you know that that torque cannot be provided. So therefore the ship remains stable. So this is the thing. In the absence of any torque vector along the longitudinal axis, the ship will not be able to roll. So this is the thing. Now finally about this thing, it is, now you can easily verify, we have said T is equal to I omega P into omega. In the, if directions of precision angular velocity and spin angular velocity are perpendicular to each other, in that case, otherwise the formula is T is equal to I omega P cross omega, cross product of the precision angular velocity and this one. We now present some more examples of gyroscopic motion. We discuss some more interesting problems related to gyroscope. Let us consider the motion of a rapidly spinning top. That top, it is, every one of you might have played in your childhood, that about with the top. In this case it is symmetric, that at least Izz is different, but Ixx is equal to Ixyy. Its mass is mass times gravity mg, so it is directed downward, and this is omega p. Then you have got, these are the fixed axis system, x, y and z, and this is omega p, this is x, y and z, and this is, see, at any point of time, this small z axis, which is, you know, attached spin axis of the top, which is making an angle theta with the z axis, capital Z axis, and at the same time if I make here that in this plane perpendicular to that, if I have this x, y, these are the body axis attached, this is making angle psi. So then in that case, if it is assumed that top is symmetric, Ixx is equal to Iyy, then we neglect the small angular momentum component due to the precision and consider angular momentum h equal to I omega. The angular momentum about the axis of the top associated with the spin only. The magnitude of moment about O is due to the weight of the top and is mgr sin theta, where r is the distance from O to the mass center measured along the axis of spin. So mgr sin theta. Change in angular momentum in time t is actually I omega sin theta d phi. This is clear from the following figure, like this. This is the thing that I omega, suppose this is I omega and it has changed like this, I omega dot. So here this is I omega sin phi component, that only changing, that vertical component along the z direction, that component is not changing. That means that you have I omega, but it can be this one component is along this, another component is along this. So this is what. So in the figure, OB represents the initial angular momentum and OC is the momentum after the precession of the top by an amount d psi. BC represents the change in angular momentum. BC represents the change in angular momentum. The angle BAC is d psi. The initial horizontal component of angular momentum is represented by AB. This is the thing. And final horizontal component of angular velocity by AC. The vertical component remains fixed in magnitude and direction. The horizontal component changes only in direction. Its magnitude is always I omega sin theta. We assume theta remains same, that axis of spin is inclined. For very small angle d psi, BC will be approximately I omega sin theta d psi. Thus the gyroscopic couple is given by the rate of change of angular momentum. Hence the magnitude of gyroscopic couple is given by T is equal to I omega sin theta d psi by dt is equal to I omega sin theta omega p, and that is equal to mgr sin theta. So in this case, then mgr becomes I omega omega p. It is not dependent on theta. Or you get omega p is equal to mgr divided by I omega. This expression shows that as omega reduces, spin velocity reduces, omega p increases. That is why it is observed at the end of its motion, the top runs much faster. The general motion also involves, if you do precise analysis, you will find out that it also involves wobbling about the mean precision. This wobbling is called nutation. In this, the angle theta does not remain fixed but keeps on oscillating. Now we can do somewhat detailed analysis also, if we remember that about our Euler's equation, and we have given that lecture on Euler angle. So that we assume that Topp's axis is symmetric with Z axis as the axis of symmetry. The reference XYZ has the same nutation and precision motion as the body, but it is chosen such that the body is rotated with an angular speed phi dot relative to it. So that means X, Y, Z are not exactly fixed on the body, there is some difference. O that is phi dot, O is a fixed point, then M0 is equal to dH0 by dt XYZ plus omega cos is Hxi plus Hyj plus Hz k. Here omega is the angular velocity of reference XYZ at O. Let Iz be the moment of inertia about the Z axis and I be the moment of inertia about an axis normal to Z axis at O. Then you will be getting Hx is equal to I omega x, Hy is equal to I omega y, Hz you will be getting Iz omega z, and omega x will come out to be theta dot, omega y will come out to be psi dot sin theta, and omega z will be phi dot plus psi dot cos theta, and therefore H0 will be I theta dot I plus I psi dot sin theta j plus I phi dot plus psi dot cos theta k. We note that Ij and k are constant as seen from XYZ. Then we can say that dH0 by dt is equal to I theta dot I plus I psi dot sin theta plus psi dot theta dot cos theta j plus I phi dot plus psi dot cos theta minus psi dot theta dot sin theta k, and angular velocity of reference XYZ is omega is equal to theta dot I plus psi dot sin theta j plus psi dot cos theta k. Now substitution of these into the expression for moment m0 gives m0 is equal to I theta dot plus Iz minus I psi dot square sin theta cos theta plus I2 Iz phi dot psi dot sin theta I plus I psi dot sin theta plus 2I theta dot psi cos theta minus Iz phi dot plus psi dot cos theta j plus Iz phi dot psi dot cos theta minus psi dot theta dot sin theta k. The corresponding scalar equations are mx is equal to I theta dot plus Iz minus I psi dot square sin theta cos theta plus Iz phi dot psi dot sin theta, and my will be I psi dot sin theta plus 2I theta dot psi cos theta minus Iz phi dot plus psi dot cos theta, and mz will be Iz phi dot plus psi dot cos theta minus psi dot theta dot sin theta. These are the three equations and these are non-linear equations. So you see that solving them is a bit complicated job. Now let us discuss about the steady precession. Now consider the case in which nutation angle theta, spin velocity phi dot and precision speed psi dot is constant. Precise analysis will show something different and all other components of the moment are 0. Thus, for steady precession, we require a constant torque about x-axis, that is line of nodes. Now, psi dot phi dot plus psi dot cos theta is equal to omega z. Hence, mx is equal to I bracket iz omega z minus I psi dot cos theta dot sin theta. From this we see that the required moment on the top must be in the x direction, since other components are 0. As a special case, if we put theta is equal to pi by 2 and omega z is equal to phi dot and psi dot is equal to omega p, and we put mx is equal to m, then from this equation we get m is equal to I omega p phi dot, that is I omega p into omega z. The above equation is the equation of motion of a rotor which is precessing at a speed of omega p and spinning at a speed of omega z. Now, for a top, mx is mgr sin theta. Therefore, we get mgr iz psi dot phi dot minus I minus iz psi dot square cos theta. Second term is small compared to first term, hence we get psi dot is equal to mgr divided by iz phi dot. This is the expression we obtained earlier by assuming that the angular momentum is entirely along the spinning action. So, we had got that expression based on the assumption that about this thing. So, therefore, we have got, now we are getting almost the same equation, this thing. I will end this lecture by giving a simple another example. A student stands on a revolving stool holding a bicycle wheel that is rotating about a vertical axis. If the rotation axis is turned down to 180 degree, what will be the effect? So, you know that it is before and after that it is like this. So, this can be, now in these two different situations are shown. In this case, the angular momentum remains conserved, thus I omega is equal to minus I omega plus is big omega, where I and is are the moments of inertia of wheel and stool respectively, and omega and big omega are the angular velocity of the wheel and stool respectively. From this you get basically you can find out the that you know that since it has changed, so therefore you can find out the omega. So, this is how that it can be done.